What's up, guys? This is Saiyan here, coming at you with the first episode of a mini series, I guess, where I'm going to show you, as you can see on the title of the video already, the first out of the six Lost Wave, the Wave 3 Warhammer Conquest living card game Warpacks. The first one obviously being Jungles of Nectavus here. The reason why I'm not starting with like core set or looking at Wave 1, Wave 2 or any of the big expansions is because when the game was still alive, the Hive Lord has done an excellent breakdown of the first two waves. However, for some whatever reason, they didn't get around to profile the third wave stuff. So here I am. These war packs are a bit hit and miss. You can find them real cheap if you're clever. I had to kind of go the hard way and cough up a little bit extra money for these, but they are nevertheless unopened. So the first one will be Jungles of Dictators. Let's jump into this, let's crack this open, and I'm gonna be discussing the cards with you guys. So first tip to go in, they all have this little bit of a glue just at the perforation to make them stackable to hang off the shelves. Once you remove that, you will have a very easy way into the plastic casing. He says easy way and then struggles to open it, obviously. There we go. Okay, so we got a pack of cards, of course play set for the stuff, and what is really cool, they started doing from Wave 2 onwards, there is also a little storyline that you can follow. This one obviously is for the Jungles of Nectavus, Seth Ariel the Invocator, and at the back we get introduced to the new keyword ability Deep Strike, which we get in this game. Basically that is that you can place a card face down into play for one command point, and then you can pay the Deep Strike cost at the beginning of the battle if you want to. Excuse me, to turn them upside down, and then they will do whatever they do. It's just like a cool little way to kind of, I guess, cheat stuff into play. Some of them will be cheaper, some of them will be more expensive though. But that's what we get in the Jungles of Nectavus Warpack. Sorry guys, I'm gonna be sneezing all over the shop. Can't really stop the unboxing because obviously I'm not a millionaire. I only have one of these Warpacks to crack. What I do find a little bit odd is that we haven't got an actual pull tab, so you kind of have to just hack your way through into these Warpacks, which does make it a little bit more difficult, particularly if you care about the edges of your cards, which I do, obviously. Some people may not, but yeah, a pull tab would definitely have been useful. And I mean, these cards are like 2015 being the last set of Warpacks. I would have assumed that they will have pull tabs on them. Either way, we have managed to get into the packs, and immediately we are greeted by some Space Marine cards here. So we get 3 copies of 8th Company Assault Squad. These are immediately Deep Strike units, so they can be deployed face down for 1, and then we can pay 2 when a battle begins at this planet to then turn them face up. So you play them like this for 1, and then when the battle begins, you can pay another 2 to flip them upside down. There are 3/3/4/3 with 1 command, which I think is the generic number, and definitely you will see a lot of Space Marines cards come down with these numbers. But the big deal here is that we have a reaction after you deep strike this unit, ready a target Space Marine unit at this planet. So this can be particularly cool if you spread these guys out. Put one on like a number of these different planets um, if you want to for cheap. And depending where you then initially, when you finally decide to go with your warlord, if they bring their attire up with them, then you can deep strike this card and actually make sure that at least one of those extra army units will go up there, being in ready position. So it's a cool little trick. I quite like it actually. Besides that, it's a soldier trait and Dark Angels. There isn't much around Dark Angels for the core set and the first two waves. I'm really curious to see if Dark Angels gets any extra support in Wave 3. So I guess as this series goes on, hopefully we will be able to discover that together. We also get 3 attachments also with the ability to be deep struck. This is the Valkyries pattern jump pack. I think the attachments that Space Marines get are generally okay. You know, they're not. Some of them are really good. Some of them aren't exactly great. But this will give attached army unit flying, which actually is pretty cool for this particular faction. And I say that because generally these guys, they have a problem with moving around, particularly the low cost units. Elite units, sometimes you get flying and sometimes you get a little bit more flexibility, particularly the Space Wolves are pretty good with moving about, but I think this Valkyries pattern jump pack, particularly that you can deep strike it for 0, so actually it's only gonna cost you 1 if you deep strike it at the beginning of the battle. I think this is pretty good. Yes, it can only be put on an army unit, but I don't think that's like a big problem. I actually think this is a really strong attachment. I can see a lot of benefits to get flying onto these guys, so they only get half damage from non-flying units. That can be pretty good. That depends, obviously, if you want to really go into a bunch of different war gear, then you will have a big plethora to choose from, but it's still a nice addition. Okay, moving on to the Imperial Guard, Astra Mediterrane. We have to start with a Vostroyan officer, soldier, Vostroya traits. It's 2 cost, 1 icon, 1 command icon, 1/3. Each elite unit you control at this planet gains immune to enemy events. That's okay, especially for a 2 cost unit. You know, you get a bit more extra beef to your elite units. And I do believe that particularly the Wave 3 Warpacks, they put a lot of emphasis in making the elite units more playable. But I think STC Fragment has done that when it came out with the Necrons anyway. But yeah, this is okay. Now the problem here is, of course, what your opponent's gonna do is remove the Vostroyan officer first. So it's a bit of a roadblock, not like a massive one. Yes, it definitely is a good level of support if you want to run a bunch of tanks. Astra Militarum, from what I've seen, from what I have, obviously waves 1 and 2, there are maybe a couple of reasonable elite units, which is alright. I think this will probably shine a little bit more if it's included in a Space Marines deck. Space Marines got a bunch of really cool elite units actually. That's where I think the officer can be really good. Obviously there is no faction restriction there, so there you go, you can definitely throw it in. And we also get, oh, these look very cool, look at that, the Saiyan Strike Force. These cards look pretty cool. Elite soldier, like kind of makes sense that we got a guy that gives some extra stuff for elite units, and then we immediately got an elite unit. Deep Strike for 3, so you can actually play it for 4 cost. The thing is with Deep Strike is that you can't use STC Fragment. That's the only thing. But still, the minimum limit, the minimum generic payment cost for elite units is 5, which of course is represented here. And this could be like an early startup where you just get out a ranged, sorry, well, it's a ranged unit, yeah, but I'm about to get to that. You can deep strike this guy for 1, you know, and then depending how much you kind of deploy or where else you want to go, you can then deep strike this guy for 3. Gives you a 3/4 with 2 command icons, which is really good. And the ranged stuff is, I think, the big selling point on this one. Just generally getting any army unit that has 3 attack and is ranged is really good, particularly if it has its built-in cost reduction. So I do like the Strike Force theme actually quite a lot. And again, we got no actual faction restrictions. That makes it even better. Oh, and look, we got another Astra Mediterrane card. This time an event. This is the first event that we're looking at from the Jungles of Nectavus. It's a 1-cost event, 1 shield icon, tactic, and it's a deploy action. Destroy a target card in reserve. Okay, so that is that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool if I would know what reserve is, and I probably should know realistically. Destroy a target card in reserve. Are the deep struck units in reserve, I wonder? Doesn't refer to anything being reserved. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna put it down in the description below, guys, what card in reserve means. It could be hand. No, it can't be hand because it wouldn't say destroy. It can't be the HQ because then it would say HQ. What else is in play that can be in reserve? I'm wondering. Guess I'm gonna have to figure it out. On paper, I can't really give you an analysis because I don't really know what cards in reserve will be. But looking at being able to destroy something for 1 as a deploy action doesn't look bad, generally. But again, I don't want to go into any conclusions really here. Please check out the description below for what card in reserve means. Let's move on to the orcs, following the wheel, of course. We have 3 elite Blitzer bombers. Now, obviously, the orcs are the comic relief of the Warhammer 40k world. I mean, it's a pretty nice looking image, though. We get a cheap elite unit. I always say that, you know, being 5 minimum cost for elite is, yeah, that you're not really gonna get anything better than that. 2 command icons, 3/5 units. When it's ready, gains flying. That's pretty cool. After this unit readies, have your opponent deal 3 indirect damage among units they control at this planet. I mean, that is, wow, that's pretty cool. Yes, we do give our opponent the obvious choice to, you know, divide those 3 indirect damage however they see fit. But it's still a pretty good card. I mean, realistically, when it's ready, gains flying. If you're the last one flinging with this, if this card is the last one that you're swinging with, then obviously up until that point is going to take half damage from all units that don't have flying. And then if you then go into a second combat round, then your opponent will quite possibly have to say goodbye to 1, maybe 2 of their units if they're running a number of low defense values or they've already taken a lot of hits from the previous combat round. I can see that Blitzer Bomber being really good, actually. Our second and only orc units here are the Commando Sneakers. They have Ambush, 3-cost army unit, soldier trait, and a 2/3 stats. And after you deploy this unit, ready a target orc unit you control at this planet and deal it 1 damage. I mean, this is amazing. Look how well it combos with the Blitzer Bomber. So yes, you will deal 1 damage to the Blitzer Bomber, but imagine you swing with the Blitzer Bomber. then you pass to your opponent. Opponent probably maybe has another attack, maybe not, we don't know. You can then ambush in the Commando Sneakers. You untap this guy, your opponent will take 3 damage, and you still have 2 attackers to go with. This unit is amazing. Not just for this interaction, but this unit is also absolutely brilliant if you are if you're running Barzul, the Hatebound for example. It can be really cool. I think Barzul works probably a little bit better with orcs than Dark Eldar, and this guy just comes down, enables you to ping 1 damage to an orc unit. If your Barzul hasn't been bloodied yet, then he's gonna soak up that damage, and particularly for any interaction, even just a regular unit that comes down and you can attack with it again is great. But for this guy in particular, wow, just what a combo. I am absolutely loving what I'm seeing from Wave 3 so far. There's some really good cards in here that I am looking forward to brew with. Okay, let's move on to Chaos then. And we see another elite unit, Fallen Psyker, another deep strike unit there. And it is Seth Ariel, the Invocator. So he is also trying to think of the name of these cards. Unique, I guess. I think they're unique. But yeah, deep strike for 3, giving you a 1 cost reduction there. It's a 4/4 for 5, which I would probably take that as well. It's not too bad. Particularly that, obviously, being a unique unit. This has obviously its own uses already, and an elite as well. And it has a reaction which says after a combat round at this planet begins, return a chaos power event from your discard pile to your hand. I mean, just realistically, just spitballing here, I have a good feeling that there are all plentiful of good chaos power event cards. And also, let's be honest, card advantage is pretty fucking good, I'm not gonna lie. And after each combat round, so you play this guy, okay, so again, we put it down deep strike, we deploy for 1, and then we deep strike it, and you can still stack that reaction, because obviously I think the deep strike will be also a reaction, or an action maybe. I think you still are able to react and use that effect, and then you just get whatever power event you want back from your discard pile. I'm actually gonna do a real quick look here. I want to see if Warp Storm is a power event. Well, guess what, guys? Warp Storm is a power event, so immediately you get a really good event back from your discard. And I haven't even really looked into this. Is just like a half ready deck that I have on the side here, and I was like, well, if Warp Storm is a power event, it's already worthwhile running this guy. But then it could work really well with some Warlord specific events as well. I would have to have a more detailed look at this, but hey, it works with Warp Storm. That is already pretty freaking amazing. I'll take that for sure. Okay, moving on. We also get, of course, a playset of Chaos events here. Not a power event, interestingly. This is, however, a Deep Strike event. So the first one of its kind that we see so far. Deep Strike for 1, so it will cost you, in reality, 1 to play it, 2 to play it even. My apologies, 2 to play it. And I don't think you can play this without Deep Strike in it. That's probably what that cross means, is that you must Deep Strike this event to be able to play it. And it says, after you Deep Strike this event, demon units at this planet cannot be damaged by units with Pruning Cross 2 or lower. That is amazing. That is so good. Like, basically, so the funny thing is, all the elite units up until the end of Wave 2 for Chaos are obviously demons. and just being able to make them basically undamageable by 2 or lower cost units is pretty amazing. You know, that also means that I don't think warlords can attack them, because warlords do not have a printed cost. So that either means that they are that either means that they aren't covered by this event. But to me, it doesn't say army units here. It just says units with printed cost 2 or lower. Now, warlords don't have printed cost. Does that mean that they have a cost of 0, or does that mean that they haven't got a cost? That's an interesting one. I'm gonna have to find it out from somewhere, because that is I mean, if you can just protect your demons from all the different warlords and all the little tiny little units that obviously up until wave 2 have been used to like just control a particular planet and gain resources, you know, all your BL Town warriors, or your tiny little units that you would be using to get other stuff out. I can see a lot of potential in this card. I can certainly see it being something that I would wholeheartedly include in any Chaos faction deck. Yeah, it can only go into Chaos faction because it is restricted to Chaos. Let's move into Dark Eldar then. I am extremely pleased so far with the cards in here, by the way. I know these videos will be quite long because I'm kind of discussing the cards, so you know, if you're interested in this stuff, then you obviously already subscribe, you're following me. If not, then maybe this isn't the video for you. Okay, so we have a 2-cost army unit, which is a creature abomination with 1 command symbol, and it's a 1/3 unit, and it says each elite unit you control at this planet gains armor bane while attacking a damaged enemy unit. Wow. Yes, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely see why this card was printed. Dark Eldar definitely needed something like this. Dark Eldar needed something that allows for a better damage output to be pushed through, because many of their units will be just either lacking the ability to really be able to hit through. And I mean, this one is great. Look, even if you can't directly hit, like I'm just comparing it to this Prince's Might card here, this gives each elite unit you control. This isn't an elite unit, so it's actually not going to get it. But what's important is, again, very similar to our, I want to say Stolichnaya, that's obviously not true, but the same as the Vostroyan officer. Kind of pumps your elite units, and look, even the bloody stats are exactly the same. I mean, both 2-cost army unit, both 1 command point, 1/3, and just yeah, they can also be splashed. So very immediate theme forming here about supporting elite units. But again, I think the biggest support for elite units is the STC fragment. Everything else on top of that is a bonus. Oh, and hey, look at this. We finally get some Chimera support. That was really, really needed for Dark Eldar. So Hunting Grounds, a 1-cost support, luckily cheap as well. Exhaust this support and sacrifice a Chimera token to ready a creature army unit you control. Fantastic. So Chimeras didn't get any kind of extra utility after the core set came out. They didn't really need it, let's be honest, because obviously, particularly for that core set era, it was one of the best decks. Packmaster Kith was one of the best decks that came out from the core set era. And he didn't really need much support for a while, and then it got to the point where actually it wasn't really played anymore, because the Discord element went more over to Urian Rakarth, using a bunch of torture stuff, but that guy's like not really good, let's be honest. You can build a functional deck around him, but just that restriction that all your other events, anything that's not a torture, will cost +1, makes it a difficult one. But going back to Kith and being able to utilize those chimeras in some other ways, ready a creature army unit. You know what the great thing is, you can swing with that chimera, then you can discard it, and then you can ready a creature army unit that you probably have swung with previously. And also what's beautiful about this is it's splashable, so you can look around for a bunch of different creature units as long as you play this with Kith. Obviously you want to play this with Kith. It also allows you to keep refilling your Chimera pool, because one of the things with Kith was that you can actually get to having 10 Chimeras out. Um, and you know, after that point, your warlord, it doesn't really do much besides turning up for the battle. But realistically, going up with that extra Chimera token is what made Kith so powerful. So this allows you to swing with them as you would, and then sacrifice them, get another swing in with a creature unit. And you know what this does as well? This makes games probably a bit more straightforward. You can just finish off battles a little bit quicker if you decide to be with this particular set. But now here we go, my absolute favorite faction, which is Eldar. I don't know why, I just kind of like the art. I kind of like that they have a lot of flexibility, and it's mostly the art, realistically, and Nullify, of course. So this is a 3-cost army unit called Seer Adept. It's a Psyker, which is very important, very good for Eldar to get another Psyker unit. 1 command hammer, 2/4 unit. Reaction after a command phase begins. Look at a target card your opponent controls in reserve. Okay, I really need to figure out what reserve is now. I'm kind of annoyed. Now I don't know what it is, so let's go back here and let's have a look at the back end. Does this say anything about cards in reserve? Ah, okay. So it is what I thought. It is the deep strike stuff. So if a card is basically upside down, it is in reserve. And the card is being referred to as being in reserve. So, okay, well, that is amazing, because that tells me that we immediately not only get a new keyword ability, but we also get tools to potentially deal with that keyword ability. Because we got the Seer Adept. When the Seer Adept comes down, after the command phase begins, we can peek at one of these cards, and then it's gonna lose its surprise effect, because now we know what we need to deal with. And of course our opponent might be thinking, well, do I now really want to spend the extra money on deep striking, or perhaps I have an ambush unit, if they still want to keep the element of surprise there. But also what is really cool is coming back here to have no surprises. I mean, that's just amazing, isn't it? Destroy a target card in reserve. A bit of a shame, or maybe a bit of a good thing, that you can't run these two factions together, or at least not with any of the warlords that I'm currently aware of, up until the end of Wave 2. But imagine if you could. I mean, just come on, you could look under one and be like, oh, this isn't really a big threat. I'm not going to waste my extra one to... Well, actually, you can't do that, because that's command phase. This is deploy. Still, we get a lot of different tools to deal with the stuff that is always a sign of good card game balancing. It's a shame that this game has died. There are a few sets, though, like virtual sets out. But even the traction behind those has significantly stopped, which is rare. And another drone and spirit unit. Now that's great. Drone and spirit units are pretty hard to find. There is one drone spirit unit that came out in the core set. There is one that when you play it, it taps all non-spirit units at a planet where it goes to. And I think that's really cool. And I was looking for like other spirits to maybe play that with, maybe have a spirit themed deck in particular. This being a 3-cost drone spirit, pretty cool. We can also search for it with the Earth Gas Technician from Tau, because it's a drone. And after this unit resolves an attack, ready it, limit once per phase. Wow. So just does everything really. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You probably want to be able to get that attack in as soon as you can, so you do get a chance to swing with it again. This is going to be a prime suspect if your opponent comes up against you. But particularly good with that spirit setup, where I'm going to show you the cards real quick actually, because this is important. This is a good little combo there. It is the mighty Wraith Knight. After this unit enters play, exhaust each non-spirit unit at this planet. If this is your last deployment, I mean, probably might be your only deployment that turn, let's be honest, then obviously you're going to be able to get a massive attack in your first turn, and particularly the Furious Wraith Blade will be able to swing twice. That is pretty cool. Limit once per phase, so you're not gonna get this ability again in the second combat round because it's still the same phase. But just pulling this off once is pretty freaking amazing, really. I really like this card. I like every card so far we've looked at. Pretty much all of them are really well placed and either bring in the new keyword or significantly help some previous concepts that weren't really ready for a full-on deck deployment. And then our third and final Eldar card here is an attachment. You can either play it for 1 or deep strike it for 0, so either way it's going to cost you 1. But it can be a bit of a surprise, or you can just play it out straight up, and you can attach it to an army unit that you control. While attacking a non-warlord unit, attached unit gets +2 attack. I mean, I think the idea is fairly obvious. You get the Furious Wraith Blade down, you give it the Hidden Strike Chainsword, and this guy will be swinging for 10 that battle phase. Imagine that. That's amazing. Particularly for a faction that has a number of different control elements, is capable of looking at top of the decks with the Bialtan Warp Spiders, is capable of dealing direct damage to green planets. It's just that this is another kind of deck now that Eldor has access to, just operating with drones and spirits, and giving them the Hidden Strike Chainsword, or giving them the Iron Rifle, or both, and just be an absolute nightmare to your opponent. This Furious Wraith Blade is an amazing card. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, and we're not done yet, because we now have the Tau. And we start with a Crude Guerrilla, 3 cost army unit, warrior Crude. Definitely Tau needing more warriors. That's the first thing I'm looking at here. It's a 1 hammer 2/3 unit, and after a battle at this planet begins, you gain 1 resource. It's just so good, and again, it's splashable. It's gonna work really well in sort of more warrior-themed units if you want to go into Space Marines, or you want to go into Eldar. They both have bits and pieces that support warriors, and the fact that you can get extra money is amazing. The Crude seek out, work as mercenaries in order to collect genetic material from across a galaxy. Oh my god, just so flavorful as well. And the art is pretty amazing too. Check that guy out. That is so cool. This is so good. Now, you know, I'm not saying that this will be the best Warpack that we see in Wave 3, but I'm pretty freaking happy with what we see so far. And then we get a Soldier Pilot, which is another important keyword for Tau. And of course, we do get a big-ass Gundam. It's not a Gundam, obviously. It is a sort of like a battle suit kind of thing. but let's be honest, we all want to play with Tau for the massive Gundams. So it's a 4-cost 4/4 with 1 hammer. That's pretty box standard. The pilot keyword can be important, the soldier keyword is important, and again, reaction. After damage from an attack by this unit has been assigned, reassign any amount of that damage to another enemy unit at this planet limit once per attack. That's sneaky. That is so sneaky. Yeah, you know what? This is just like, you know, if your opponent spends the money, get this out. If you want to be able to hit their demons, you're gonna attack a different guy, a non-demon guy, and then however much of that damage goes through, you can just move it over. Although it's not 2 or less cost, but it's situations like this when you can't do like a direct attack, but you want to move it across. This can be pretty important. I can see a number of ways how this unit can be really nicely utilized and gain some really cool advantage from it. Whether that will work or not, I don't know. I definitely need to look at card interactions and stuff, but so far the art is really cool. What the unit does is cool. Important sort of keywords on the cards like soldier and pilot, so that's pretty cool too. And in wave 3 we get a bunch of Necron cards, and we get a bunch of I want to say Gene Stealer, but they're not. They're Tyrants, aren't they? So we get 3 Synapse Cards, and that's interesting because up until now, Synapse Cards. Oh no, that's weird. Why do we get 3 of this? It's a Synapse card, so you can't just deploy it. You have to obviously run it with your Warlord. So why we get 3, I don't know. 1 hammer, it's a 1/5 unit. Remove an infestation token from this planet to trigger its battle ability. That is, wow, that's nasty. And of course it's an elite unit as well, but I think all the Synapse units are elite, so that shouldn't be anything new. Let's take a look at that, whether I am actually right with that or not. If we find them. Where are you guys? Where are you? Synapse units, they're not here. They're in my stack of warlords, probably. Indeed, they are. Yeah. So here are the up to the end of wave 3 synapses, and we always only ever get 1. So why we got 3 of this? It's quite comical, really, because these can't. As far as I understand, unless the next card will be like, hey, now you can play a Synapse unit, another one if you want, but I don't know. There are some good synapses. Whether this will be a particularly good one, I haven't a clue. Well, actually, looking at the combat action, yeah, it's pretty good actually. Trigger the ability of a planet. That's actually really good. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's really good. So just a bit of a refreshment to the gene pool, I guess. There is the what is it called? Keening Maliceptor, and we also get some 1-cost army units. 1/2 with flying, no hammer, crush of sky slashers. Creature reaction after a combat round begins at this planet. Deal 1 damage to a target enemy unit at this planet with permanent cost 2 or lower. Wow, I mean that's wow for a 1-cost unit. Damn, that's pretty hot. That's pretty hot, and he has flying, so you know it might be a bit more difficult to get rid of it. Not super hard, but maybe a bit more difficult. And then here we go, Necrons. I also absolutely love Necrons. The art, just what they do, the fact that they're more like a graveyard-based, combo-based faction, and the fact that you can go and pick units from pretty much any other faction you want, that's pretty cool as well. So it's a 2-cost 1 hammer, 1/3 soldier. Each elite unit you control at this planet gains interrupt. When this unit is targeted by a triggered effect, for the first time this round, cancel that effect. Wow, jeez, that is really good. yeah, I mean, there's so many triggered effects in this game. Uh, Being able to give them protection from that is pretty cool. I mean, I have a Necron deck that runs like 2 play sets of elite cards and another 2 elite cards from another faction. Just being able to give a bit more of a resilience to those elite units, and particularly for Necron, some of those elite units are actually really crucial to allow your deck to function. This is fantastic. This is really gonna help Necron. I can see this being a really good card. And then our final 3 cards, and wow, oh my god, look at that artwork. I don't even know what it is, but I already love it. It looks like a spaceship. It is a Shroud Cruiser, a 2-cost support with an amazing art, and it says action, exhaust this support to move an elite unit you control to an adjacent planet. Wow, damn, that's hot. That's hot. Yeah, just like, you know, if they are being like really threatened, you just say, you know what, I'm just gonna go away from here. You can do whatever you want. I don't want my elite unit to be lost here. And like, just go away. That is amazing. I mean, any kind of mobility like this is always really good for any faction. And this is just gonna give a bunch of protection for elite units in Necron. So that's pretty sweet as well. Alright guys, well, thank you for tuning in and actually spending over 40 minutes with me going through these cards. But yeah, why not? Peace out, YouTube. Until next time, Bus signing out.